Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that's a little unusual. It's going to be a brief overview of how to take photographs of your crafts so they sell. My background is in photography. I was an advertising photographer for many years, and then I switched over to teaching at a university. So now I'm going to try and help you learn some of the things that I taught and get you started on taking great photographs that will sell. The main thing you need to know when you're photographing your work is that you need a soft and diffused light so you can show the details of all of your product. So you can buy something similar to what I've bought here from Forstan, or you can create it yourself. But the idea is to isolate any reflections that you may be getting. Now, you may not be getting any reflections, in which case you don't have to worry about that so much. The simplest way to do it is just to buy one of these boxes. They come in all different sizes. This one is 35 inches square. I bought that because I have some very large lamps and birdhouses that I need to photograph without any issues of surrounding light or reflections. So just follow directions and set up your photo shooting box or tent. There's a couple of different names for them. And just follow directions, set it up. This one comes with lights, so that's really one of the reasons I got it, because they're all LED and the light temperature is controllable, which is also very relevant. I'll put a link below in the description to where I bought this. It's on Amazon. I make a couple of pennies on it if you buy it through them, but no need to. You can search it on your own. But there's other ways to do it. You can completely manually do it. If you're interested in knowing anything more about this style of shooting, traditional shooting, let me know in the comments. Now, the sweep and backdrop that they use is made of a very rigid, very good vinyl. It's like a very dense mylar background, and it's a tight wrap, a roll, so it will form that shape of the sweep beautifully. The sweep eliminates shadows, and you don't want shadows when you're taking your photographs, because it just gets in. It's a distraction to your art, so you don't want that. Now, it goes underneath that lip in the front, and then it velcros to the very top in the back, which I'll show you in a minute. And it stays in place very nice because it's a very rigid material. And it's also easy to clean. If you get anything on it, you can clean it off with, well, I used Goof Off in one of the times when I was cleaning it. I should say that shadows are not a bad thing, but you have to be very choosy as to when you use them and when you don't use them. When I had my photo studio, we had 4-foot wide seamless. It was paper, and then we had 9-foot wide seamless. So we used that for taking very large items, photographing very large items. We shot Xerox machines and, well, all kinds of sets that we were absolute control of the lighting. The shooting tent that I bought came with this thin, translucent material, and it's you can see the hole, you shoot through that, but you don't see any reflections. Now, that you use if you're shooting glass or metal objects, because you won't have the reflections. What you'll see is the camera lens, and that's what you really want to see, not your background or you. So that's the wiring. It goes up to the back top out of the way. Again, if you're shooting reflective things, you'd have to wrap that in something white. These are the lights. They're LED strips. They're pretty consistent and powerful enough to light most of the products probably that you're going to use. Those lights can either be mounted both on one side, left, or on the right, and then you'll get a shadow. Pick your shadows wisely. So I do have a nice camera that I could shoot with, and I will in the future, but I just wanted to show people just a really quick way to use your phone. This is a 12. It has the 3 lenses on the back. They are optical lenses, not digital lenses, and that's important because you want the glass to be what you're using to film or take photos. Now, this image was underexposed because it's looking at all that white area around the pen itself. And I'm going to show you how to adjust for that so you can take great photos using your phone. So open your phone app. I don't know how to use an Android. I don't have an Android, so you're on your own with that. But you want to shoot a square format for Etsy, and you don't want to see the frame in the background like I'm pointing at now. What you want to do is hit that triangle at the top. Now you can adjust it so it's square. You got to hit that. Yeah, there you go. See at the bottom now you have a number of selections. Turn on the flash. You can adjust your exposure. We want to adjust and make it a square format. I believe it's the second or third section choice in. Now I'm going to 1. I'm going to have to pull back with my camera, my phone. It's going to get darker because I don't have a light behind me to light my camera, but you can kind of get the idea. You can see it there. So now I can't see those edges. I take the picture and check it out. I'm going to go in there and adjust. It is a little symbol at the bottom. I just tapped, and it has a plus and a minus on it. That lets you adjust your exposure. If you swing your finger, you can see to the right it darkens, and to the left it lightens. And that's how you adjust your exposure. You don't want it underexposed, but you do want to see into the shadow areas. And I'm getting in close just to show you as an example how the exposure button in your phone works. So there are a couple of ways to open up areas. In this case, because I have the light flashing or the LEDs on the top pointing back, I don't really need to open it, but if I did, I hit flash. I can put it on, which is what I did here. And then the next one I dealt with was, well, there are different options, but we're going to concern ourselves with square and exposure. Not the timer or anything like that. We're not using that today. So here I am opening and closing up my lightness to darkness to show you. And I pulled back to fit it in the frame because that's also relevant. You can't be on top of it and do all that. And you're really not going to be able to see your entire piece. And you need to do that. You just saw the flash go off. So now I took the picture and I'm going to look at it and make sure that it looks okay, my exposure's okay, my framing is good, and it does look good. So I'm happy with that. Now I can go in and edit and open things up like I'm doing, same way. Slide to the left, it gets brighter, and I seem to like that particular image as it is. Hit done, and it's saved. Now you go and you just airdrop your images from your phone to your computer, and you can upload them into a folder and upload them into Etsy, which I'll show you next. Here are a few more examples of adjustments to help you get an idea of what I'm actually doing with the iPhone. Adjusting, taking pictures, square, adjusting. Obviously, it's a close-up with the flash. So there's just more examples for you to really understand the process, editing and such. And here's another example of just adding exposures with a different way right through just the main setting without going into the detail setting that I just showed you with the birdhouse. So once you take your shot, you look at it again. This one is exposed really well because I can see the details in the shadowed or mid-tone area of the pen, which is what you want. You have to take really clear photographs for any selling online site. And because this is wood, I also state in my description that it's wood and wood changes color. Some wood doesn't, but a lot of wood does. So you have to be careful of that in your descriptions, which I'll go into later. A lot of woodworkers refuse to use certain woods because they change colors. Purple Heart, for example, is bright purple, and then it ages into a brown, which if you're buying a purple pen, that could be rather disappointing after a year. So this is tacky. And what you do is you can hold things in place. It doesn't mar the surface, particularly this backdrop here that's a pretty strong plastic. But you just take a small chunk because I'm shooting a pen. I don't want this to show in my photographs, so it's just a small piece that I stick underneath the pen. I'm going to be taking a topographical image of this pen. I picked 5 different images for Etsy. They're different positions, and I'll show you those. So this tacky material does not mar the vinyl or whatever this material is, backdrop. You can't see it, which is beautiful. It's just what you want. You don't want to see your props. Like, I'd never shoot it at that angle because I can see the thing. But you could see I take it off and it doesn't mar the background. But if you're using something like tape, or you might have a problem getting it off. So I used glue gun on this and it took it off without a problem, because you don't want to go in and retouch everything that you shoot. Let's say you shoot 100 images. Retouching 100 images could be a real nightmare. You want to shoot it as pristine as possible. So I'm shooting these for Etsy, and I'm going to put this as one of the photographs that I have on Etsy and in the category. And I'm going to open it up, make it lighter. Take the picture, check the picture, and zoom in and make sure that everything looks good, bright, detailed. Okay, this may be anal, but these aren't lined up great, so I'm going to pick this one up and move it down here. This one's twisted a little, so I'm going to turn him, her, whatever. And this one's twisted now. This may be a little anal, but I'm an advertising photographer, so my training was in advertising. I have an illustration degree in photography, which meant advertising. And just place that back in there. So they all look at this one maybe a little. And it's just that little piece of blue tape on the back. Make sure you don't see the tape when you're taking your photographs. I mean, little things like that, you get caught up in exposures and details and these little things that I'm doing right now, and you forget, oops, there's my blue tape, or whatever. There's a variety of things you can use. A quick way to get your exposure is to just use the regular setting, tap on your screen, and you'll see a square box come up. That's where you're focused. And then there's a starburst on the side. Slide that up or down to change your exposure. So this is a clearer example. I shot this off the Blue Ridge Mountains, and you can see how I'm dragging that starburst or sunburst down and how it darkens the image, changing your exposure. And you see, if I point this thing when I start at the sky, when I drag it down, the sky changes exposure. You're always going to have a high contrast. The sky's going to be bright, the shadow areas are going to be dark. So what you can do is take 2 photographs and mix them together in another image, or just try and find a happy medium when you're shooting. But that's how you get focus, and also how you expose for highlights and or shadows. These phones nowadays are pretty sophisticated, and for the most part they see both highlight and shadow and fix it for you. So if you didn't shoot on square and you just randomly shot some of your work very quickly, be careful with it. You could shoot outside in a cloudy day and set up a really nice set, and that will work too, as long as you don't have some really hot spots and deep shadow areas. But if you just shot it randomly, you can bring it into a program like Photoshop and make a square. You can change your levels or your exposures to highlight. You can open your midtones on some of these programs, which may be necessary because your phone may shoot a higher contrast image. Now, you're allowed to put 10 images on Etsy, but I shot 5 different ways each one of these pens. So that's what I'm doing now, cropping, just double checking my exposure. And I don't know if you can see in the bottom part, there's that goober down there, and I'm using the sponge tool in Photoshop to remove that. This was before I started using the tacky material to hold things in place. I was using that tape, and of course it left marks, which gave me another job to do in Photoshop. And if you've got 100 images, you want to make this as seamless as possible and shoot great stuff to begin with. And right here, I had to use the stamp tool to fill in that top white area to match the background, because I didn't give it enough space when I shot it with the iPhone. It may be a tad more complicated, but the first description of adjusting and shooting square is really the best way to go. So I've used Photoshop to do all of this work with the cropping and the exposure and highlights and etc. But there's a lot of programs out there that I believe are free and you can use even online. I'm not familiar with those because I've always used Photoshop as a professional. So I'm sure there's files you can find and check out and basically do the same thing I'm doing in preparation for your Etsy website. So now that I have all of these images shot, edited, and stored on a folder somewhere in my computer, I open up Etsy, click New Listing in the top right, and I start to upload my images that I've shot. So I just do a select all. It's 11 items, so not all items are going to fit, as you can see. I can only upload 10. So I think I had some duplicates here, so I did do some editing for that. But you can see I deselected one of them. I went through and picked the best ones. I think I had duplicates, so anyway, that's what I'm doing now. Uploaded all 10 images, and then you decide where you want to place them. What shows first? What do you want to show second? Put your best foot forward. Then you go down and you make a title. Now the title should be, I think it's more important than tags or hashtags, because a lot of they use it for search engines and the SEOs, and they also people look at the titles, and that kind of says, yeah, I want to look at this. No, I don't want to look at this. So I say exotic pen for this particular pen, and then I say what it's made of and the finish, and I think this works pretty well. After I get that in place, I fill out who made it. That would be me. It's trying to spell Sapelli. It doesn't know how to spell Sapelli. And, those are part of the challenges too. But you should spell everything accurately. Who made it? I did. What is it? It is a finished product. And when did I make it? I just made it about 2 months ago. Now I have to pick a category. What's going to help sell this? Is it more for men? Is it for women? Is it generic? And then you just pick. Will it work for a groomsman's gift? You just go along and pick to see what works best for your item. You don't have to pick a primary color. In my case, secondary primary colors are not relevant. Anyway, you go through this and you decide whether or not you want to have renewal options. And is it physical? Yeah, it's physical. So now here I put the description in, and for the SEO, those are important also. So take your time with this and sell it. That's what I try to do. I describe it as an exotic pen, one of a kind, one you'll want to let people borrow and get back, or use it for signing important documents. So it's special. Or you could give it as a graduation gift, that one-of-a-kind, unique, special, very impressive pen. So make it a good description that people will want to take it to the next level and buy. Now, a lot of people are retired and they make all these crafts and they don't have an outlet for it. They've given tons away to friends and family, and now they have an abundant resource sitting in their storage bin somewhere. So my suggestion is for you to take it to the next level. Start an Etsy site, and it's not that difficult, and I can help you with that if you're interested in doing that. Subscribe and hit the bell button, and let me know in the comments if you're interested in more of these videos. Now you're going to add your tags in, and it would be like pen, maybe a color. It gives you hints right there. The function, you could say writing utensil, you could say desk, things like that, that would be more descriptive with the item itself that you're trying to sell. These are things that people search. So, you know, will they search writing utensil? I don't know. But they might, they'll definitely search pen, so that's a given. But you have a lot of opportunities to put tags in there. So, you know, do a search, be inventive. There's plenty of websites that help you with tags and keywords. I think Microsoft makes one too. And then after you're done with that, you scroll down and you add a price. And since mine are all one of a kind, mine are all going to be quantity of 1. I don't have a SKU number. I have no variations because they're all quantity of 1. They're all one of a kind. And then you get down to shipping. Now, Etsy thinks you should just pay for the shipping yourself, and then they tell you to incorporate the charge into the price of the item. But you don't know if it's going down the street or to California, depending on if you're on the East Coast, it's going to the West Coast, it's going to cost a lot, and shipping prices have gone up. So I don't like to do that. I know Etsy thinks you should because they think it sells better, but you know, you have to value your work, your time, the money you've got into it. So I don't think you should sell yourself short and swallow shipping. If people really want it, they'll pay for shipping. I never had a problem with people paying for shipping. So now you can save it as a draft, or you could publish it. If you do publish it, Etsy will ask you for 20 cents every time you publish a new item. And that is what my Etsy site looks like. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this type of content, teaching how to take photographs and Etsy submissions, etc., please let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, and share it with others. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.